Aaron swimming on the beach, hey.
What is going on, everybody? This is the CFR Roundtable. We're here for another episode. We're gonna talk about some stuff. Clayton Garrett was supposed to be hosting today. He's having some communication problems right now, so I guess I'll step in and host for a minute. Hopefully, guy comes back because I don't want to talk that much tonight. But either way, I got my guys with me. TFC Thomas Frank Carr in the building.
What's going on? How you doing, Jeremy?
EJ Daniels, and PFF extraordinaire, as I like to call my man.
Jeremy, what up, man?
That was not enthusiastic, man. It's not gonna keep the viewers. That's not. What's up, Jeremy? What is that?
Late night Sunday jazz radio. Yeah,
I'm ready though. You're right. That wasn't enthusiastic.
Yeah,
I'm ready. Jeremy, what up, man? Let's get to it.
Hello, ladies.
There we go. Sound excited like you want to draft Travis Etienne in the first round. Come on,
don't do that. Don't start that so early, bro. You can't lead right in with that, bro. You can't lead right in with that.
I know how excited you are. So, so we had a little communication problem. Hopefully we'll be joined by Clayton Garrett tonight. We'll see if he can get back in here. But what's going on, everybody? Backbone, Ryan Michael, my man Sug, JJ, Ronald Enix, how are you doing, brother? Hope you're feeling better. I know you were battling a couple issues there. Hopefully you're feeling better tonight, man. Mike Bolger, ain't seen you in a long time. Yes, he's back. Come on, man. Mike always keep me in check. But guys, a lot of movement this week. We've had some pro days that we've been a part of. EJ, we've been around. We were part of UNC. I was part of with Penn State with Thomas. Although I didn't get any questions. Thomas didn't pull any strings. I didn't get any questions that one.
I'm lucky I get questions. Let me just say that. So it's a dog fight.
I will say this though. Man. There was a distinct difference in how many participants it was in the Penn State to the UNC. Just saying.
Well, let me just say, if you have it at 4:00 on a Friday, like, people got stuff they're doing. So I don't know if that was on purpose that it was 4:00. Because I had people visiting and I was doing a couple of things, and you gave me the information a little bit earlier. I'm like, I'm out. Like, I can't. I was annoyed by that.
It was but 4:00 it allowed me to get home from work and actually sit at my computer and do it instead of sneaking around the corner at work on my phone. So it was actually
little of this, little of that, yeah,
it was actually nice, but no, it was some good pro days. I think we got to talk to Chaz Surratt, we got to talk to Daz Newsome, who we are both high on. We got to talk to De'Ami Brown. You got to talk to Coach Mac Brown. TFC, who did you talk to at Penn State? You talked to a couple guys, right?
Yeah, I talked to Jason Oway, Pat Frymuth, and Micah Parsons, so I was able to get to most of the big names that everyone knows coming out for Penn State this year. Oh, and Lamont Wade, another guy that I got to talk to that I don't think a lot of people maybe know as much about or high on, but might be a guy that sneaks in as one of those slot hybrid kind of guys.
Yeah, right. So it's gonna be interesting. Penn State got a lot of talent. There's gonna be a lot of unknown talent in this draft too coming up. But guys, I mean, we had a week here. Very quiet week for Buffalo after the Trubisky signing, the Zach Ertz trades talks, possible, the Emmanuel Sanders signing, and the exclusive top of the line Matt Cat signing at Bonner, man. So I mean, how are we feeling? Do we feel that the Bills are done, EJ? I mean, are we? Do you think we're done making moves, or are we getting canned by it because it's been Brandon Powell? It was yesterday, so.
I personally think that the Bills are gearing up for the draft. They did. Honestly, people feel like they didn't do a lot, but I feel like they did quite a bit. In free agency with re-signing their own players. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not popular by Bills Mafia, but again, as I've been pounding the table for many of these shows, it's like continuity definitely matters, and they were able to sign back all their starters, add solid depth pieces, like you mentioned with Emmanuel Sanders. So they've added good players, and I think now they're gearing towards the draft, getting younger. I really, really want to mention that I really like the Jacob Hollister signing, because when he got his opportunities in Seattle with Russell Wilson, he was able to thrive. Now, they went through Will Dissly, Hollister, and then I can't remember the tight end before that, but they went through some tight ends, and Jacob Hollister, when he was in there, he was able to do some things. So I think the Bills had a pretty good offseason so far. I don't think they're done. I think they're done in terms of free agency, but I think they're gearing up for the draft now.
And speaking of Jacob Hollister, TFC, I mean, you cover the 49ers a lot, and I know you see that division. What kind of sign is Buffalo? Because, I mean, a lot of people are not aware of who Jacob Hollister is or what he brings to the table, besides he was just college teammates with Josh Allen.
Yeah, so I think he establishes a baseline at tight end, and that's something that they need to have. That's what they've done at every other position. They established a baseline going into the draft, so I think that was really smart. I was looking at some of his stats, and he kind of produces at the same level as Zach Ertz. Like when it comes to, he's a good intermediate threat. He doesn't get a lot after the catch. He doesn't get as many targets, so he doesn't get the same number of, volume or any of those things. Right. You don't know his name because he doesn't have a lot of touchdowns. But he is about as efficient as Zach Ertz, and you get him for $1.something million. No, I'm sorry, it was less than $1 million on the cap. And you didn't have to trade any assets for it or take on a giant contract with multiple years. I'm with EJ. I think this was a great signing. If you look at it as what he upgraded, he's a massive upgrade over Tyler Kroft. So this is a great, baseline for your tight end position, offers stability and flexibility at the position, although I don't think it's as flexible. He was trying to tell everyone he can play fullback, and I looked into that, and he doesn't play fullback. Like, he can line up in the backfield, but nothing great happens when he does it. But he's a good tight end. He's a good athletic pass-catching tight end. He's more of what I was looking for than Zach Ertz for this roster, and he's cheaper. He's just not the superstar at the position.
And one other thing about Jacob Hollister, he's in the top 25, I think it was, in PFF run blocking grade too. And I remember, you need to get more run blockers on this team. And it's as simple as that. Dawson Knox is kind of good at run blocking too. He was also in the top 25. So you got two, tight ends that can, block in the run game, and that's going to only make it better once they improve the interior. Hopefully that's what they're going to do in the draft. But, they got two good run blockers.
And Dawson Knox, top 25 too, right? Both of them were top 25. So, I mean, maybe we won't have to play musical chairs with tight end this year to kind of key on what we're doing on that play, because you're not going to be able to sneak out Lee Smith 30 yards on the field anymore to be wide open.
We don't have to leak one out, if you know what I mean. So you actually have a threat at all levels of the field. Yeah. This is nice.
Well, I think one of the biggest things about our tight end position is this. I think that everybody sees Travis Kelce, everybody sees Zach Ertz. You see these big names put up numbers, and I get it, But at the end of the day, I don't think that the Bills' tight end position is ever going to be like top of the line or high priority in the way they're running this offense. It doesn't seem that's the route they want to go.
So how many of those guys are there, though? So I think that's the point. Is you named half of them by just kind of casually naming a couple.
There are
not. Yeah, there are not a plethora of elite tight ends. It's a hard position to find.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, do you guys think that if the Bills had that they would make it a high priority in offense, or do you just think that they're not even looking for it? It seems like, in my opinion, not too much. I don't know.
Seems like they're trying to employ the committee strategy, same with what they're doing with the running backs, which I like.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm of the belief that you can never have too many good players, and if you can all get them on like decent contracts, that's what I care about. I'm always looking for cheap talent, and Jacob Hollister screams cheap talent. You know what I mean? Like he like TFC mentioned, he's going to be a solid in the run game. He's going to be a solid, intermediate threat. He's going to catch the football. He's going to be solid. And the Bills have a lot of that throughout this whole roster, just solid players that are not on, big, huge, ginormous contracts. We know the one contract that's coming down the pipeline is going to be Josh Allen's contract. He's probably going to get over $200 million. So getting a lot of pieces around him that are solid players and that are at reasonable contracts, I think is the way to keep going. So the tight end position is probably one of those positions that you're not going to be able to get a Travis Kelce or a Darren Waller at, and you don't need, honestly. I mean, they won, 15 games without a top-notch tight end, so it's not like it's a need. It's a luxury to have, a tight end such as that.
Well, they want weapons, right? So I don't think they turn down a good tight end, but I don't think they're chasing it. So you could say at times they maybe have chased a couple of positions, like they were trying to find a number one wide receiver, which they should. But they got Diggs, and they made it work. It doesn't seem that they're going to, now that they've got the baseline of talent on offense, and I keep using that, but they've got their high-end wide receiver. They've got their wide receiver number 2 this year. They've got, all the parts and pieces around Josh Allen. If you can upgrade a position, great, but you don't have to force it. And I think that's the biggest difference is they're not going to force it. They're not going to trade another first-round draft pick to go get Darren Waller or something like that unless it's for a good deal, unless they can get that talent and find and develop it. It doesn't seem like, they're waiting on Dawson Knox to be that guy, but they don't have to have it, but they'd like to have it. Everyone like to have it.
Right. I think with Hollister and Dawson Knox, you'll get the athleticism you need to make some plays. If you sleep on them, they'll run 40, 50 yards down the field on you, and they may stiff arm a couple of people in their way. I think that's good enough. I mean, when you really start talking about the passing game, a lot of times we have to talk about who's going to get the targets. Now, last year, Josh Allen threw for pretty much over 500 attempted passes. You know that Stephon Diggs is going to get probably, in this offense again, probably 160, 170 targets.
Yeah.
Cole Beasley's going to get 100 targets. I'm going to assume Emmanuel Sanders is probably going to get more targets than what John Brown got last year. Obviously, he was injured. But I'm going to assume that he's going to bring another 80. And then you have your running backs to put in. So, I think that realistically, there's only 60 to 70 targets at best for your tight end position in general.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this too. The sneaky need is wide receiver 2 or target number 2 on the offense. If Cole Beasley is your number 2, as good as he is from the slot, and he was deservedly the all-pro from the slot last year, again, we go back to the need for explosive plays downfield. You don't get as much from that. You're hoping Gabe Davis turns into that, but you don't know that. And you're hoping that Dawson Knox turns into that, but you don't know that. So in the long term, I don't think it matters if it's wide receiver number 2, the other boundary receiver, or if it's the tight end. If they get a dynamic threat at either of those positions, I think they'll feed their good players. But right now they have a good equity of targets, and they can lean on Stephon Diggs to always be open.
Yeah, and to piggyback off TFC's point, I looked it up last week. Stephon, including playoffs, Stephon Diggs had 192 targets. So that is most certainly going to have to come down. And so, like you said, I mean,
he got what he wanted for sure, right?
Exactly. So now we know with regression and how teams are not going to let him, get that many targets this year. Like you said, it's 100 targets is probably where he's going to be at. And the thing is just like Dawson Knox, Jacob Hollister, Gabe Davis, and the running backs. There's going to be available targets for them, and they're going to have to step up because teams are no longer going to let Stephon Diggs just kill cornerbacks, just willy-nilly one-on-one. So I mean, having these guys step up is going to be crucial and huge for the Bills going into the next season.
Well, good luck stopping that. I mean, you got to stop Stephon Diggs. You had just a tougher chance stopping the stimulus check than you got stopping Stephon Diggs. Man. I'm just saying, man. Good luck with that.
We got Clayton back, but I want to go on a rant here in a couple seconds based on something somebody just put in the comments, if you don't mind. I just want to give Clayton the floor because he hasn't had a chance to say anything yet.
we love rants.
Oh,
no. By all means, have the floor.
Okay, so here's the thing that I've noticed lately, and this is gonna be a thing that's gonna kind of cut deep for a lot of people because it comes from the heart. This happens. This was me for the longest time. Stop looking for the diamond in the rough at the end of the roster and expecting that guy to be great. Somebody's just like, I'm excited to see what Isaiah Hodgins turns into in camp. Yeah, everyone is. But if you're counting on that guy, if you're counting on Reggie Gilliam, if you're counting on the fourth string running back they pick up after the draft, this isn't the drought anymore. You're better than this now, Bills fans. Everyone loves the Stevie Johnson, but you don't need Stevie Johnson stories anymore. You've got Stephon Diggs. You've got Emmanuel Sanders. Players want to come to this team. So you need to start aiming higher. We can all love the Jason Peters story. It's great. It's found money. It's the perseverance story, but it's a story. The reality is you need to find better players immediately and put them on the field immediately. Not waiting around for Isaiah Hodgins to break out because he's a 7th-round receiver they got last year in the draft. That person has to make it. They have to make the roster now. There is no, he's on the roster because we couldn't find anyone better. There are better receivers all throughout the roster than Isaiah Hodgins right now. So if he's not here next year, don't cry over it. Be excited that no more Isaiah Hodgins can fit the roster. So if he goes somewhere else and is really good, it's because they had 5 other guys that were better. And that's the reality of what the Bills are right now and what Brandon Beane is doing to this team. So am I forgetting anyone? George Wilson, any of these guys that like are fun stories, but were like average players that we all got really excited about? Like, we're done with that.
Robert Foster.
Good players. Yes.
Duke Williams.
Yes. All of those guys. They'll be great stories if they work, but I will not lose 1 minute of sleep if they aren't on the roster next year because there's no guarantee, and they better have 6 or 8 guys that are better or competing with that guy.
Why you gotta put Gilliam in this?
What? I know that the last podcast I was on, someone's like, you know what, Reggie Gilliam, this is his year. I'm like, maybe, but here's a better idea. Maybe go see if Kyle Juszczyk wants to play on this team because that's a reality now. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but you can do better than hoping that Reggie Gilliam, we're going to wait till week 4 of the season for Reggie Gilliam to be really good. No, we're not doing that anymore. We have now moved on from that experience.
All right. Yes. Welcome to the show, Clayton Garrett. What is going on? I love it, man. I freaking love it. Yes. We love Clayton.
Oh yeah. I came in at a good time. Tom, TFC is right on point with that. I love that rant. I'm dealing with some internet connection issues, but it is what it is. Got to persevere and push through.
You're that camp body hero.
Listen, we're not waiting around for your internet. I'm plugged directly into the router.
No, it's
Get
fine.
on the all-pro level or we're moving on.
Listen, that is freaking awesome. It's not my fault Spectrum's being like this today.
Oh man, Spectrum, Lord.
Cody Wells says no one. Please, I agree with you, Cody. Yes, can we put the Wade talk the rest now? No, we're actually not because
There's a perfect example. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. The program got extended another year, so we'll have to deal with that for one more year. Jesus, I mean, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the years of overpaying and loving guys like Chris Kelsey. I like Chris Kelsey, but it's the truth. Ryan Denny, the Keith Ellisons, the Pearson Prylus. Yes, those days are behind us, and I totally agree. Get better, move on. But hey, I mean. Rant of the night, TFC. I mean, we got to start doing something special with rant time. We got to have rant time. Like if
you don't want me to go on rant time, boy. You don't want me to go on rant time. You say something about the draft, I'm going.
So moving on, we brought in Matt Breida this week, all right? And I this is a guy TFC had him on a video about bringing him in for a cheap option. Greg Boucher, Sports Bully, had him in an article, and I mentioned him on the show. And Clayton mentioned him last year, and they finally did it. Do we actually and I like Matt Breida, so I'm going to get you guys' take on what you feel about him. And do we actually think that he's going to play this year, or we're going to TJ Yeldon him? We're going to call it the TJ Yeldon from now on. So Clayton, we'll let you go first. Get what you got from Matt Breida.
I I really hope they don't give him the TJ Yeldon treatment, because Matt Breida's too good of a running back to get that treatment here in Buffalo. I feel like, in the his last two stints, other options, other players at the position that fell into favor at that point in time, Raheem Mostert, like Tevin Coleman, like Myles Gaskin in Miami last season. But the Bills' backfield was really lacking one element, and that was speed. They didn't have explosive running back that you had to worry about going all the way every time he touched the football. Well, now they have it with Matt Breida, and getting him on the veteran minimum contract. I understand, I really hope they don't treat him like TJ Yeldon, because I feel like he's too good to get that. I feel like he'd be too good of a fit in this spread offense, and it was too much of a necessity at certain times last year with the lacking of athleticism in the Bills' backfield for him to not get any touches or not get any carries in this backfield. I feel like next they're going to have a running back room by committee, and Matt Breida's going to get a decent share of the load in that load in the running room.
EJ, what you got? We're gonna give TFC a little kind of cool down. What you got, EJ?
I actually like this signing for the Bills. I'm not personally a huge fan of Matt Breida, but the Bills have been clamoring. Bills Mafia have been clamoring for speed in the backfield, and you finally got a running back who is strictly a speed back. Now, is he gonna get the TJ Yeldon treatment? I hope not. Because the only thing that I can see why this move wouldn't work is because Dable's unwillingness to run the ball or use him. Dable had a half where he only ran the ball one time. And that's the thing that I don't like. It's just like, I feel like Dable is going to be the one who, I'm not going to say mess it up, because the Bills had the fourth highest graded offense this year, so it won't be messing up. But we all can agree on this panel that the Bills need to implore, the run game just a little bit more. And so you bring in a guy like Matt Breida, who has played in an offense like, San Francisco's, where they run primarily zone runs, and the Bills are really good at zone runs. So why not utilize, that guy in that role? And maybe he can break off, 60, 70-yard runs. And like you said, the Bills' backfield is missing the speed element. You sign the speed element, so use that speed element.
And as Kentrell Scruggs comes with the comment of the night, once we draft Travis Etienne,
or
Najee Harris in the first round, I'm satisfied.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, TLC. We're gonna have another rant.
I can't do anything. I can't do, you cannot explain it any more times than EJ and I have when it comes to this. Running back doesn't fix the problem. You need to be more efficient at running. It's not about the talent in the back. Okay. It is partially about the talent in the backfield. I've said this for about a year now, that Devin Singletary is really amazing and make 3 people miss to get 4 yards. That's great, but it's not like there's any dynamism. Yes, we all like the Matt Breida signing because of the speed. I'm fine with it because it's a committee. And when you have a committee, what you're saying is we don't value one player, we value the skills that they bring, the elusiveness, and I think an improvement in the passing game from Devin Singletary. You have the power. And even though he kept fumbling at the goal line, you have the power of Zach Moss. And honestly, Josh Allen's your goal line back. We're going to call that what it is. And then you've got the speed. You got the home run threat. You got the guy that can be the receiving back in Matt Breida. You've built a committee. If you're going to then take Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, you're blowing all of that up. So you've now wasted 2 third-round picks. And I shouldn't say waste, because they have played for the team. They have given value. But you are completely going away from that, and you are deconstructing the thing you've just created. To me, that's stupid. That does not make any sense. So improve the efficiency of the blocking up front and let the skills go to work.
And why
that's what it is.
Why does everybody keep saying he's a weapon? When somebody show me some clips of Travis Etienne splitting out wide and taking a catch to the house. He is a dynamic back. Don't get me wrong. But he does not have the same skill set as Alvin Kamara. I don't know where you guys are getting this. He is fast. He's ran a 4.4. He was close to Isaiah Simmons running a 4.3. We get it. But as TFC had just said, just because you draft him, that doesn't make that he does not bring the Bills any closer to beating the Chiefs.
He's also not Alvin Kamara. He's also not.
He's not. He doesn't have that skill set. I don't know where Bills
even as a runner. Even as a runner, he's not Alvin Kamara. He doesn't break tackles the same way. Alvin Kamara has great contact balance. Travis Etienne is tough. That's what he brings.
Hey. Y'all gotta stop listening to these personalities, bro, and start watching some tape. I don't know where y'all getting this from.
I watched ETN, and this is where I disagree. Okay, and I'm going to explain why I disagree with the ETN pick. And like I said, I don't agree with Najee Harris. I don't agree with any other backs in the first round, but ETN. And I'll tell you why. Part of it is because of Brian Daboll's lack of commitment to the run is why I like ETN. If this was a regular coach that would just commit to the run when we're running for 5.6 yards a carry, and there has been games in the past where we've neglected to keep running when we're pounding people, I would not be for this pick. But because he's gonna, every time Devin Singletary's gonna drop a ball, like in a playoff game, he's gonna come off the field completely for the rest of the game. And to me, I don't know what the deal is with Devin Singletary. It seems like he's always in the doghouse to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it feels like to me somebody on that coaching staff that has a lack of faith and does not like him. And I honestly believe that. Zach Moss got hurt last year, but as good as Zach is, he's never going to be that home run hitter for you. And honestly, with his physical style of play, I don't know how tough he can be, because he's going to take a lot of hits and a lot of punishment. And I think that's what the Bills drafted him for. But we know what happens when you do that. The reason I'm for ETN because it's like this. If you're gonna come out, you're gonna throw the ball 40 times a game. And I'm not saying he's Alvin Kamara, but what I will say is he's a lot better pass catcher at the backfield than Devin Singletary.
Yeah. He's a better athlete too, so once he gets in space, he can do more. Like there's no question about that. It's just how much is that adding value? Like, because if you're in those situations, are you adding a championship value with Travis Etienne? And I think a lot of people look at the name and they look at the position of running back, and where EJ and I are off the train is the position of running back is less valuable than it is, the other places that you can upgrade the roster and you can infuse talent for the future, because that's going to be part of the story too, is where are you infusing the talent, to EJ's point about having low cost starters. They need those on the defensive line for sure. And they've got to start trimming some of the fat places. And you do that with quality rookies that are playing. You're now paying your running back position exponentially more if you draft a running back in the first round. You're paying the other guys, $750K a year. That's over $1 million. And while it's still a cost-controlled contract, it's not a free agent or a second contract. It's still more than you were paying the position by far.
And so,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeremy. I was just gonna say, like, I've heard many times on Twitter, Bills Mafia say, we've needed a cornerback too for how long? Like 3 or 4 years now. You guys been clamoring for a number 2 cornerback, right? But you guys keep clamoring. Now in a draft where the Bills don't have that many needs and they can take best player available, and this is a very deep cornerback draft. You guys want a running back at 30.
Because people think the best player is Travis Etienne. That's the problem.
That's the problem. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to invest a first-round pick, it better be a very valuable position. Like quarterback, cornerback is the second most valuable position on the field. So why would I take Travis Etienne at number 30 when I can get somebody like the person you suggested, TFC, Kenneth Gainwell, who could pretty much do the same thing, who can catch, who can run, but you can find him in like the 4th or 5th round. That's what the draft is about. It's about finding value. It's not about names. It's not about listening to Marcel. It's about finding value and making smart decisions with the picks that you have. So taking ETN in the first round would not be the smart use in getting all the value out of pick 30.
I get it. I mean, like I said, I'm still on the ETN train for 30 if he's there. And the only reason I say that is because of the way the Bills are running their scheme. If they were going to line up and actually run the ball, like I think they should with these 2 running backs they have, because I'm a fan of both running backs that we have. And I'm a bigger fan with bringing up Matt Breida. But I don't feel like we're going to commit and actually run the ball to 25 to 30 times we should in a game. We should. I don't think they're going to do it. So if you're not going to do it, then screw it. Then give me the guy with the 4.4 speed that gets the ball at the backfield that can also run. That's just where I'm at with it, because I have no faith in Brian Daboll to do that.
So there are examples of both ways. So that I'm going to firmly sit on the fence on this one. There are examples of both ways where you draft for the future, you draft valuable positions even when you don't need them, and it doesn't work out, because the Eagles were doing that for 3 years before it all fell apart, where they're drafting the kid out of Washington State at left tackle. He tears his pec. He might not even be good at football. I've heard things about his commitment and doesn't like lifting weights and all of those things. I've heard rumors like that. So you had a first-round tackle that everybody loved and hasn't played yet. you get Jalen Reagor in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the first and second round. Right process of trying to replace like for like with power vert receivers and speed, but you draft two guys that don't pan out. So you can do the future looking smart thing and still be wrong. And you can also be the Chiefs, who made the Super Bowl, but used their first round pick on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who barely even played this year. Like when he did, he looked great. And I loved Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he didn't make an impact on the season in a significant way that you want out of a first round pick. And that's, you can look at either of those and say, you just got to get a good player a lot of times and one that makes an impact on the football team. And if you're running behind a suspect offensive line as a running back, that's harder to do. It's harder to make an impact. Ask Saquon Barkley how easy it is to run behind a bad offensive line, because he's had to do it twice, both in college and the pros. And like, he's one of the best, and he made it like to 1,200 yards. So, you know, it's a marginal thing when you're waiting on other guys to block.
What?
And we have a question. Why should we run the ball 25 to 30 times?
Oh, my gosh. Can I please answer this, please?
Go ahead.
Listen, I have been saying, I said since they entered the playoffs, the Bills, I said the lack of balance is going to kill them, right? The only way that they were going to stop the Chiefs is to keep them off the field. How do you keep a team off the field? You slow the ball, you slow the clock down, and you run the ball. That's why you run it 25 to 30 times. The one time, the Chiefs beat the Bills twice, right? The first time they beat the Bills, it was running the ball 30-plus times. If the Bills employed that same strategy against the Chiefs when they played them in a playoff game, they might have had a better shot of winning. That's why you run the ball 25 to 30 times a game.
And also, Josh Allen was one of the best play-action passers in the league. So, therefore, if you run the ball 25, 30 times, you have balance. You open it up for play action. 2, you wear a defense down. A lot of teams came back at the end of games last year, probably because we were in scoring quick and they got a lot of rest. So we left a lot of time on the clock in games last year.
I'm still all for scoring points. Like I thought the way they played was fine. They just need to execute the run. Like when they do run, execute the play better. That was the problem, is their running, their ability to block on run plays was not as good as their ability to throw the football. So, like, execute better there. The Buccaneers, so this is something that is, I think, important to know, too. The Buccaneers could have won in multiple ways. They had so much talent that they could go 3 tight ends and force you to bring a linebacker on the field and then play action. Or they can run 4 receivers out there and play spread football. Tom Brady aside, they had the weapons to do whatever they wanted. And they had the offensive line to do whatever they wanted. Leonard Fournette is not good. Like, he's okay, and he had a good game because everything else kept the Chiefs off balance. And the Chiefs were off balance the whole week anyway. So they could do a lot of different things. That, I think, multiplicity is the thing you should be looking for. That's the thing. That's what I'm kind of learning as watching a good football team for the first time ever is, you've established the baseline of having a good quarterback. Now you need to be able to establish having a good offense that can do whatever it wants and execute any game plan successfully. That's the next step.
I'm going to disagree with you, Evan. It's been factually proven that running does not set up the pass. I'm going to disagree with that one. I'm going to disagree with that one a little bit. I don't know about that.
That's going down the rabbit hole, man. I ain't even going to touch that. That's going down the rabbit hole, man.
Yeah, this isn't a PFF. This is not a PFF show.
Exactly.
This is Cold Front Report.
Going down the rabbit hole.
But no, I mean, that's just my reason for ETN. It's just because if we're going to go with this style of offense, I think he fits. And then screw it, I'm just going to go with this style of offense. And I'm going to trade Devin Singletary to somewhere like Atlanta for a 5th-round pick. And then I'm going to sit Matt Breida all year, make him inactive, somebody get hurt, to TJ Yeldon, because that's probably what they're going to do. Because in 3-4 years, we have not seen them carry 4 running backs on this roster one time, I think, besides Week 17 versus Miami in the game that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Do we have any faith that they're going to carry 3 running backs on the roster that can actually run the ball and not use a 3rd spot for a gunner?
Yeah, I think that's in the realm of possibility. I don't think that that's in question. It's just the question of, do they need to use that 3rd back in that game? The whole point is that you should be using your running backs efficiently. And I know I'm sounding like a broken record here. I'm repeating myself, but if you're being efficient, all three can touch the ball and you can get different things out of them. They just didn't have that last year. They had TJ Yeldon on the roster, who is a clone of what they have, just worse. Like, they actually have something different now in Matt Breida.
I'm of the opinion, like, it's all dependent on Dable, and I'm so sorry to keep bringing that up, but it is, man. Like, when you run the ball the second least in the league, it's just like, I'm with you, Jeremy. It's just like, do I have faith that you actually going to do that? So why should I carry 3 running backs? But if I am giving some optimism, Coach McDermott did lead some of his press conferences by saying, like, we need to run the ball more. So I would be optimistic because the coach is recognizing, like, yo, we need to run the ball more. I don't care how we do it, but we need to run the ball more. So that gives me some type of optimism. But based on what you said, Jeremy, they have not given me any reason tangibly, to say, hey, they're going to carry 3 running backs and actually commit to running the ball.
I mean, I just have this feeling that, I'm like, come on, guys, hurry up, come out, run the ball well at the beginning, because the first negative run you get, I feel like Brian Dable just like, bad negative run, throw the runs out the playbook, it's over, it's done, that's it, done for the day. So I just want them to, be more committed to it. And I think if they are more committed to it, I think if they find that balance, they're going to be, they were already a team that was extremely hard to stop.
What percentage more are we talking here? Like, if you said they ran the ball blank percentage more, what would you be happy with?
Okay, are we not counting Josh Allen's 10 QB powers again?
I'm not counting Josh Allen. I honestly don't want him. No, I don't want him to run. I don't want Josh Allen to run. I want him to check the ball down, and I want him to stop calling that because he's gonna get hurt doing that. I would be happy.
But they got
25.
Mitch now. They got Mitch.
Yeah, my boy Mitch. Yes, sir. Yes, thank you for bringing him up.
So if they ran the ball 15% more, if they ran the ball 10, 12, how much more are we talking here? Because honestly, I liked the offense last year. I thought it created a lot. I mean, hell, it was the first good offense that I've ever watched that didn't have Ryan Fitzpatrick a part of it. So, I don't want to, all of a sudden want to be the Tennessee Titans. I'm not interested in doing that. But if you told me, okay, we're running the ball 7% more, I think that's within the realm of reasonable. But it's just more to me about, find better run blockers, have a more complete team. I didn't say anything to you, Google. Shut up. Sorry. My phone decided to start talking.
That's Brian Dable. I would think that, it's for me, maybe 10% more. But with that 10%, we're also taking away those games where Josh was getting 8 and 9 carries. I'm pulling that down to 2 QB sneaks. I'm cool. Yes, maybe a broken down pocket, but the design runs I'm pulling out of there a lot because like we said on the other show, we talked about Trubisky. If Josh Allen would not have gotten up in that Las Vegas game, our season would not have been the same. And that's a scary feeling.
I don't want those plays. So I don't want the scramble and give the violent stiff arm to the front of the helmet, like the one that the Chiefs clearly practiced against. He had one move in those situations. It worked half the time until the game it didn't work because they practiced for it. Here's what I think that in that game, in a lot of games, I think the issue for Josh Allen.
Okay, that's what I hope he was trying to say because
he mentioned not have.
Sharif, you gotta clear up what you were saying, bro, because I don't know what you were saying, bro.
Punctuation's very important.
Yes, please.
Proper
contractions. Because they definitely don't want Josh Allen being their leading rusher every game. No,
so
I can guarantee you that.
A lot of teams ran man coverage against the Bills, and while Josh Allen wants to be a quarterback, and I agree, if it's not there, he needs to remember he can still run the ball. In the first quarter against the Chiefs, he ran the ball and they were more efficient, but then he stopped running the ball. And I didn't go down and break down the tape and see if they were keeping him, a mush rush or any a spy or keeping him in the pocket. But he's Josh Allen. Most of the time he runs over linebackers. And in a conference championship game, I don't really care if you throw for 300 yards or you run for 200. There are times I thought he tried to be too much of a quarterback and he forgot that he is an amazing athlete. So if it's the scrambles, I want more of those. But the design runs, I can see what you guys are saying. And I think that most of the time when he got hurt, it was on runs where he was improvising, where he was running to the sideline.
So if I could break my carries total down, what I would like for a game, right? And this is with possibly keeping Matt Breida and not TJ Yelding him. 14 carries for Singletary, 12 carries for Moss. We're up to what? 26? 26 carries, and another 5 for Breida. I'm cool with 31 carries a game. I think that's enough balance. But I think we still probably had us around the same amount of carries last year, but you're taking out those 6 to 7 design runs for Allen. And I'm happy with that.
How many plays are you running in this game?
The Bills offense? Oh, we're probably running. Right. Let's see. I'm going to go about 65, 70 plays.
Okay, so you're still predominantly throwing the football. Yeah. Okay. If you're saying it's still like 58% passes, I think that's how you win. I think that's how you win. So I don't want to go 50-50, 52. No. Like that's too much.
Honestly, TFC though, like the point you brought up earlier about the Bills being that team, like that's the evolution of Bills being that team. Like they can be like the Patriots. Remember how the Patriots used to be? They used to do game plan specific game plans where like they can literally just see what you do the worst and then just attack it aggressively. The Bills have the roster to do that, and if they were able to do something like that, I mean, Dable used to be the play caller in New England, so it's just like, why aren't you doing that? I really want to understand why Dable has such a pass-heavy philosophy, because, I mean, you never saw that in New England. So I'm trying to figure out now why you come to Buffalo and now you just, like, refuse to run the ball when in New England, like, they were always balanced. Like, that's what I remember about New England.
I know why. You remember when the end of the episodes of Scooby-Doo when they were like, they caught their criminal and then somebody else pulled the mask off? It's Mike Martz. I'm telling you, it's Mike Martz, man.
Mad Mike.
What if you pull but here's the other thing. What if you pull the mask off and it's Andy Reid? Because you could make the argument Andy Reid forgets to run the ball quite a bit. Then there are some games when he does.
We would have won. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think he's doing a good job. I think that there are tweaks that they need to make to the offense, but I don't know that I don't know. I'm a little caught off guard by the revolution here that's brewing. I was not prepared for this part where we're running the ball 30 times a game. I'm happy with 24. Like, I still think you can get more out of Josh Allen.
I think certain games that's fine. But I think we should come out and game plan. Okay, listen, we do want to run through. I mean, and with the way this offense moves, I think we can almost plan to run 70 plays a game. I don't think it's far-fetched for this team. But I just feel like we should, like the games where we had quarters where we chose not to run the ball, we can't do that. We can't do that. Keep them
half off. Where you only run one play. Like, come on, man, what?
You can't do that.
Like, you can't do that, bro.
I loved it. Watching it was great. That was in a
playoff game. He ran one time. I was like, yo, that's crazy.
If you guys can in the chat, tell us if you think the Bills run the ball enough, and if you can, put a percentage of pass to run that you'll like. Just we don't see what you think. We like to keep you guys engaged. But besides that, I mean, this defensive side of the ball. Now we had a chance to talk to Chassarai, and he actually told us that he met with the Bills multiple times. TFC, you asked them a very good question before the show started, asking if we didn't use our Sam linebacker because we didn't have a good one or because we wanted to stay a nickel. And EJ, you told me the stat earlier today that the league went away from nickel a lot last year, but the Bills used it, what, was it 90%?
The Bills used it 89% of times. League average was 53% of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Bills. And I was telling you, I was like, listen, because you were making a point about Teron Johnson. You were like, yo, I really don't like him. And I was just like, well, that's to your point. It's just like if they're going to run nickel 90% of the time, they need to upgrade slot corner or even get a Sam linebacker that can cover, like Chassarai. So maybe they're kind of already ahead of the game. And then on top of that other point, there was a PFF article that said, signing Matt Milano wasn't a good idea. They should have put that money elsewhere. I can see that point. I can see them investing that money in somebody like Troy Hill, who signed with the Browns, who is probably one of the better slot corners in the league. Now, you're not getting anything from the run game from him, but it's like the Bills invite you to run anyway with the defense they play. They suck at stopping the run. They suck at stopping the run for the past couple seasons. So as long as you don't beat them deep, that's kind of what they want. That's kind of what they want from the defense. So it's just like, if they can find a linebacker who can cover, like they would be in a very good position. So, I mean, this defense is in a great position, but they can definitely upgrade at certain spots. And I'm anxious to see what they're going to do in the draft in terms of linebacker, slot corner, like the things you mentioned, and cornerback too, for that matter.
Can I just mention the one thing that they have to do next year? Stop missing tackles.
Yes.
They can stop missing tackles. So the whole point of this scheme is to keep things in front of you, and you nickel and dimed your way down the field, and all of a sudden it's fourth down, and you didn't know it. Like you couldn't get anything deep, and then they're so good at rallying to the football that you think you have a first down, and they tackle you. But the problem is their linebackers have been very bad at missing tackles, and the whole front seven has been bad at missing tackles. If they just convert the plays that are in front of them, I think that they're fine. Now the running game, that is a real thing. Like they got their ass handed to them last year in the running game. Yep. But if they just make the plays that are there, they're a much better defense. There are fewer yards, there are fewer drives, fewer conversions, all that stuff. And I do think having the crowd in 2021 will make a difference, because home field advantage disappeared in the NFL last year. And if you are forcing teams in those third and long situations to actually have to go to a silent count, it is a definite advantage for your pass rush. There's no doubt about it that the noise does affect the snap of the football. And if you have that advantage and they can just rally to the football better, I think the unit in general improves. But that's the thing, is Tremaine Edmonds has not proven to me that he can tackle. That's been a problem whether there's a crowd or not.
Here's the question I want to ask you guys then. So to your point, TFC, last year the Bills were the second worst tackling team. The only one who was worse was the Jaguars, right? This year they improved their tackling, and they were 19th. The Jets are a better tackling team than the Bills, right? So here's my question to you guys. Do you think that the Bills should look for other options at those linebacker spots, and I'm including Tremaine Edmonds in that because you just mentioned him? So do you think they need to find different options? Because I personally feel like Tremaine Edmonds is what he's going to be. You can cry about he's 22, you can cry about whatever you want. I think he is what he's going to be, just uber athletic linebacker. So I want to know from you guys, how do you think the Bills need to attack them, tackling better and improving in the run game?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, you're not going to get many fans that are going to agree with you about upgrading Tremaine Edmonds, because it's not a popular opinion. And I mean, the first step that's going to get thrown out there is always, well, he's been to 2 Pro Bowls. That's always going to be the first number. I mean, do we need improvement from him? Absolutely. Does he need to get better in playing the pass? Absolutely. But if he's not going to play the pass well, and he does not play the pass well, and it seems like he's regressed since his rookie season playing against the pass, then he needs to stop everything running. But yes, he misses tackles. Every time you turn. If you look at the clip from the Teron Johnson interview, right? The what's the CBS playback, whatever thing they're doing for the video, or Turning Point? Mm-hmm. Well, they got down the field because he missed a tackle on Willie Snead. The same tackle that he missed on Jamison Crowder. Am I wrong? It's the same.
It's a reoccurring thing, yeah.
Right. So should they look to upgrade? I would say you should always be looking to upgrade everywhere, especially when you're winning, and especially when a guy's not locked into a contract that has $20 million of dead cap.
Yeah, and I wrote this in my state of the franchise. They're literally going to buy time with Tremaine. I think they're going to pick up his 5th-year option, and they're not going to talk about a contract with him until they see evidence of him playing better. And I think they're going to wait until the last possible minute to make the decision, which I don't blame them, because they did invest a lot in that, and they don't want to move on from a guy who might turn the corner. If it were me, I would be looking immediately for guys to push him. I'm not saying that you get rid of him, but you find guys to, you sign a veteran linebacker, you draft a guy, you make it known that your position is not solid on this roster, and see what happens. And I think that they may do that, but I don't know that. I don't think they're going to make any drastic changes at linebacker. I think what you have is what you get. It's only what they're going to add.
And see, that's my point. It's just like, because they like him so much and because of his age, this is going to be a reoccurring theme. You know, it's always going to be, oh, he's 22, or oh, he made 2 Pro Bowls. Like, he had 100 tackles, and that really doesn't. What does that mean? He had 100 tackles, all right, and he got into the Pro Bowl because somebody else got hurt. It wasn't like he was voted into the Pro Bowl. So let's just be real about it. So it's basically sounding like to me they're gonna rock with sucking that defense because
I think they're more aware of what he is.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're more aware of what he is than we want to give him credit for. That's all.
He's not. I mean, and don't get me wrong. His play is not going to cause them to lose many games, in my opinion. They have enough good players around him to kind of bite the bullet if it's certain games he struggles. But there are certain halves where he plays like, all right, that's what we're looking for. But then the problem is there's other halves. It was like, yo, dude, I mean, where did he go? I mean, did someone come Space Jam and take his talent away? But the reality is the coaching staff and, I mean, a lot of fans, you're enamored with putting a guy that's 6'5" with long arms in the middle of the field. He, in my opinion, I never thought he was a middle linebacker coming to NFL. I thought he was a will. I thought that he's an attacking linebacker. He doesn't diagnose very well. I think we've all seen that's probably his weakest point, is diagnosing what's going on in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he can chase things down sideline, but that's why I thought he was better suited for outside linebacker. And I would not have been upset to see if they would have let Matt Milano walk and slid him over to the will and brought in somebody that was more kind of headsy, if you want to call it, in the middle.
Having him play that outside linebacker role, just think about it with that speed. Let's say he get better in coverage, become a decent tackler. Now I can see a legit Pro Bowler, and it's all about, like, you know, moving him around, like seeing where he fits at. You know, like like you said, middle linebacker is probably not his position. We can see that because you have to be able to diagnose at a high level to play middle linebacker. That's like the basis of the position. Recognize, what did Chad Surratt tell us in his interview? You got to be able to diagnose formations, and you got to be fast. So he has one of them, but he can't diagnose formations fast enough for him to make adequate plays. And that's kind of like the basis of the linebacker position, recognizing formations, recognizing tendencies and such. And he just hasn't shown the ability to do that on a high level at this point.
Yeah, they wanted him to be, obviously, they wanted him to be Luke Kuechly. That's what they wanted. They wanted to find the middle of their defense, and they went for traits instead of a guy that who had production. He had production. He had 3 years of Virginia Tech. Again, he got tackles. He flashed all the ability, but yeah, he never really put together anything that was exceptional. And I don't know that he will, but I know that they're going to give him the opportunity to. And I don't think it's on fire. I don't think that the only time it's on fire is when they give him a lot of money. Then you've made a huge, that it's the same mistake as paying a running back. And they haven't done that yet, so I'm not going to pigeonhole them into that and say that they're going to do that. I think we all have fears about what they might do, but I think the perception of what the fans say, I think that's what a lot of people respond to, right? So when you watch the film and you're like, it's very different, that doesn't mean that's what the Bills see or what the Bills think. Sean McDermott may be expecting much more from his middle linebacker, and if he's not getting it, I don't think he's going to sacrifice the whole team because he likes somebody's leadership, but he's going to give that guy the opportunity to win the position because of all the other things we've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like Tremaine Edmonds as a football player, but I give a prime example of KJ Wright. When Seattle tried to put KJ Wright at middle linebacker, he couldn't diagnose fast enough. It just did not work for him. And when they put him back at outside linebacker, he became one of the best in the league. And he has a similar frame to Edmonds. He's 6'4", and he learned how to use his frame to make that quarter of the field hard as hell to throw on. Mm-hmm. I think you could do the same thing with Tremaine if you wanted to do that. But now I don't know if you can do it because now you're locked into Matt Milano for $9 million a year. So it seemed like you made a commitment there to me. We have a question. Actually, Cody Wells asked, do you think Tremaine was forced into the mic because they had no immediate backup plan with Lorenzo retiring? I don't think so.
No, that was where they intended to play him the whole time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What Lorenzo retiring did is it just made a gigantic hole in versatility and at the same position, because they could bring him on and he could do just about anything. He was good at dropping into coverage. He was good at diagnosing and attacking the run. He brought a bigger physical body to the box, while still being a good coverage player, and he can rush the passer. Like, what they miss is the Swiss Army knives that can do whatever at that position, and they're looking for just stability at this point. Like, look, again, they're looking for a baseline right now.
Go ahead, EJ.
I was about to say, Eric Humphrey, you are absolutely wrong. Tremaine Evans is one of the worst linebackers in coverage for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Trust me. Teams kill the Bills in the middle when he's there. But this is one of the things I don't want to sit here and just harp on Tremaine Evans. This is what I think the Bills should do and use him. So, we've talked many times about the Bills getting Tyler Shelvin. I don't think anyone's on that train. But that is what I see they need. They need a fat run stuffer to take up.
It's more
blocks.
of a tugboat, actually. It's not a train.
Okay.
That implies movement.
All right. The tugboat. They need dudes who can take up blocks, the one tech, true one tech, and let him just go and roam, because then he wouldn't have to, be so quick at diagnosing, because you got a guy that's taking up 2 blocks. So these guys can't just get second level and get at him. That's what they need if they want to get the best out of Tremaine Edmonds. But, when they don't have that, and then Ed Oliver's playing one tag and he gets double teamed in that inside zone, and then now the second guard can peel up to Tremaine Evans, it's just like you put him in.
That's why I'm a fan of Marvin Wilson for the Bills in the draft.
Yes.
And I think you got, like, hate to say it, I would be okay with taking Marvin Wilson at 30, because first off, I think he's underrated, and he's produced. And his one bad season came his senior year, with a whole lot of stuff that came with it. He was the most dominant defensive tackle in this draft class before Christian Barmore had his senior season. And I'm not questioning that Barmore is good. What I'm saying is that's what Marvin Wilson brings to the table, as far as he's a really good run stuffer. I think he could play 1 tech or 3 tech, and he would provide that presence in the middle. What that does is it makes Vernon Butler disposable, but then you still have Star Lotulelei on the roster, and then you got to decide, are you spending $10 million for a rotational player, like a guy who's third in the rotation if you bring in Marvin Wilson, or are you moving on from Harrison Phillips? Like, you've now allocated so many resources to the nose tackle. And again, like, it's where you are because of COVID and because of all those things. But that's the decision you might have to make: is are you going to play Starr as your third nose tackle?
Well, at that price tag, I don't see how you could. I mean,
right. So you're not going to.
Yeah. Right. I mean, well, we did leave Trent Murphy inactive with his price tag, so I guess it's
true.
I guess it's feasible, but and I guess I want to ask this question, and we'll get ready to get out of here. Everybody's assuming that everything's going to be fixed because Star Lotulelei is coming back. And to me, anybody who knows me knows I have harped on Star Lotulelei since the day he got here. And I give him a little bit more credit because the team looks so bad without him. But I'm not going to sit there and say that him in general made that roster that much better. I think you just missed that 335, that legit 335 pound D-tag, one tech in the middle, because for God's sake, sorry, Vernon Butler is soft.
Yeah,
he's soft. He's not that type of guy that you don't even have to you don't have to put 2 blockers on him. He's soft. I don't know why we're assuming that Star Lotulelei coming back is going to make everything better. It wasn't great when he was here, and he hasn't played football in a year. We don't know what we're getting. He could come back to camp 370 pounds. We don't know. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
EG, you go ahead.
All right. Just to your point, Jeremy, I've never been a huge Star Lotulelei fan. Like, having him obviously would, be better for the run game, obviously. But, I don't see where he's not a defensive tackle or a one tech that's going to be disruptive. He's going to take up blockers. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just like they had that the year prior and they were second worst tackling team in the league. So it's like, you're going to have to fix that issue. So he doesn't help in any of those areas. So and then he gives us nothing in pass rush. So I mean, what is he fixing? What exactly is he doing that's gonna help? I'm asking myself these questions because I can't answer them. I can't tell you what he's gonna actually help. I mean, this is what the tape says, not me.
I should be in a band because I'm just going to say it again. Baseline. Like, he's an average player. So he's good at absorbing double teams. He's not good at defeating them. He's good at absorbing them. And there is something to be said that they were not good at that last year. The real difference maker comes back when you find out if you have something in Harrison Phillips as a nose tackle, because he was playing very well from that position before his ACL injury. And then I don't think he really was the guy last year that he was the year before. Like, they even said they had to shut him down because he was medically cleared to play, but he wasn't playing well. So if he comes back, the issue's fixed. And then Starr, you can have him as a mascot at One Tech, and everyone can say that he's the reason, and everyone can feel good about the fact that he came back. But the real reason is Harrison Phillips is back from his ACL injury and is playing better. That, to me, is the real difference at that position. And then getting back just to average when it comes to those things. Because you're right, he doesn't provide any sort of pass rush. But you have other guys on the roster that do. So he doesn't have to do that. He has to fill one very specific role. And again, for the price tag, it's not ideal. But if he just does his job, the 111th coach speak, all of those things, he is providing the value of being present on the field as a professional football player that doesn't suck. He is an average guy at most things he does. If you want positive play, you either get a new One Tech, or you hope that Harrison Phillips, a year and a half, 2 years removed from his ACL injury, is back to being an above average football player. To me, that's the answer.
And I think the way the Harrison Phillips ended the season, it was very encouraging.
Yeah, he played much better. Yeah.
So, I thought tonight was it was kind of an impromptu show. We just wanted to get on here and just talk a little bit. We're going to do this a little bit more. Look at James Bylick says, you guys need an everyday podcast. Maybe we'll make it happen.
I agree.
Do you own a business that wants to advertise, James? Because then we can have a conversation about that.
Right.
Speaking of advertising, make sure that
we've got our yeah.
And speaking of advertising, make sure you guys are getting over to www.discover716.com, checking all our friends over there at Discover 716. They're an organization, nonprofit, that helps young kids get internships into college for things like this. So make sure you're checking them out. And we actually have a giveaway coming up pretty soon. Getting all the details ready. All I know is one of the running backs on the Bills that they do not use. So you stay tuned for that.
Could be any of them. That was a good team.
Yeah,
that was professional. Bravo, sir.
Hey, just saying. But hey, guys, any final thoughts? EJ?
No, sir. I do have a final thought, but
anything coming up?
I just want to. Do I have anything coming up?
Yes,
I do. I do have something coming up.
Okay.
I have something about Teron Johnson coming out that Bills Mafia probably didn't know, and I didn't even know until I researched it. So be on the lookout for my Teron Johnson piece.
Okay. TFC.
Yeah, I'll be continuing the State of the Bills defense, going at a glacial pace. By the time I'm done, the draft will be over and we'll know all the answers. But I'll be heading over to, I think we're doing safeties next. So I'll be looking at, the rock of the defense for the Buffalo Bills. But yeah, that'll be what's coming up for me.
All right, and I don't really have too much coming up, as you guys know. I'm kind of lazy, man. I ain't got nothing much coming up, but hopefully we can get some more of these pro days and get some more of these prospect interviews, and as we get to know, hopefully hopefully we may interview somebody that may be a future Buffalo Bill. That'd be pretty cool. Like, hey, we interviewed you. Throw us a jersey or something.
Can I say one last thing before we go?
Ahead. Yes, you can.
I think somebody asked me today, my father-in-law asked me, so how are you going to beat the Chiefs? And I said, well, by just being the same. Because if you look at a lot of teams this year, they've lost a lot because of the cap situation. Now, they may pull a rabbit out of the hat and they may find a way to be as good, if not better. But it kind of seems like teams that are going to weather this storm are going to be the ones that improve, that were in a position to win. There are a lot of bad teams with a lot of money. I think what the Bills are doing right now is really good because they are still a good team and they put themselves in a position where they don't have any holes. Now they can go improve through the draft. And I think if you can just establish your baseline from what you were last year and then improve from there, that's almost as good as making a major move this offseason for teams that didn't have the cap space.
Good point. And you know what? You missed something, EJ, you guys. Mud Dog says, got a good draft show coming this week. Tight ends Thursday?
Yes, sir. Yep. Tight ends Thursday. We will be giving you all of the sleeper tight ends, and we'll give you the tight ends that the Bills have actually had meetings with. So you guys are up to date, and you guys know who you're drafting. And that's why we do these draft shows, so you guys are educated and informed, and you know what these guys will bring to the Bills Mafia if drafted.
That's it. Get the knowledge, man. Get the knowledge. But hey, guys, great show. Great podcast. This will be on Spotify, iTunes, and things like that tomorrow morning because I'll get it right up. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for tuning in as always. This is the Cold Front Report. CFR Roundtable, Stay in the Process, powered by Avalon Sports. We will catch y'all next time. Starla Thule, be in shape.